Can you remove stains from concrete? Well, I guess it's going to depend what kind of stain we're talking about here, because it could be anything from, a rust stain to oil stains, and definitely the process for cleaning is going to be different for each and every one of these. And if you do the wrong one, you probably create a situation where now it can't be cleaned. So let's go through some of the most common ones here. So first of all, oil is a standout. Oil stands out alone. There's everything else, and then there's oil. Because for a lot of the stains that you're going to use, or that you're going to treat for concrete, you use acid washing. Acid washing is a great tool for cleaning concrete, but not oil. If you have oil and you treat it with acid or an acid solution, you essentially cook or bake in those oils. And the process that we want to use to remove oil includes breaking down that oil such that we can kind of wash it away or remove it from the area. And if you cook it with an acid wash, then we kind of can't do that anymore. You really bake in those oils. So that's why I say it's very important, the order that we do this in. So if it is oil, or it's suspected that it's oil, or if you don't know what it is, you have to assume it's oil. And so we're going to go in this order, and that means we don't go to an acid wash first. We might not do one at all, but we're definitely not doing it first. So what are we doing first? We have to try to degrease this somehow. And the best way to do that, or the first line of defense, is TSP, or trisodium phosphate. And a TSP scrub would be a great first start, I would say. So you're going to take a cup of TSP granules, and you're going to add just enough water to it to make a paste like toothpaste, and then apply that to the surface of your stained concrete. A nylon brush would be the ideal tool to take and kind of massage into the surface, let it sit for 10 or 15 minutes, massage a little bit more before you rinse and wash it away. Let it dry, because you won't be able to appreciate how much we have affected this stain until you let it dry and see how it looks compared to the rest of the area around it. And it's possible that the TSP is going to be enough, and that's all you're going to need, because it's a degreaser and it will kind of break down that stuff. But what if it's not on the surface layer? What if it's kind of deeper in, which is the nature of how concrete stains? It is a porous substance. It will absorb into it. And if it absorbs something that's staining it, well, now the stain isn't on the surface level. We have to put something inside the concrete. That's kind of hard to do. So if that's the case for you, we do that surface layer TSP scrub with a very, very thick, concentrated paste of TSP. That removes definitely something, but it didn't solve everything. Now let's get some down inside there. Now we're going to use a wash. Before we had a scrub, now we're going to use a TSP wash. 1 cup TSP granules to 2.5 gallons of water, or 2 cups to a full 5-gallon bucket of hot water. Mix that together and pour that on the stain, because that water is going to absorb into the surface. Leave it. Let it absorb in. Let it sit there for a little while, then pour some more on, let that sit there for a while, and then rinse it all away. And again, what we're trying to do is we're trying to let that TSP do its thing to break down those oils that are in there, or the suspected oils that are staining this concrete. Once we rinse that all away, if the stain exists because it's not an oil or it's something else, now is the time when you look towards an acid wash. And an acid wash for cleaning concrete would typically be 7 parts of water, 1 part muriatic acid, put into a plastic sprinkling can, applied over the surface, allow it to sit for 15 to 30 seconds, and then rinse it away. That's it, nothing special. And here's a tip. That works great if you're on the floor, if you're trying to go on any kind of surface where you're climbing a vertical wall or something like that. Of course, your acid wash just wants to fall off immediately. If you put a couple drops of some liquid Dawn dish soap into your acid wash mixture, then that will go a long way to helping. The soap will help the bubbles to cling to the vertical surfaces a little bit longer, giving the acid wash more time to try to lift and remove these stains. And acid washing is like magic for cleaning stained concrete, you bet. But of course it's dangerous, and it's not a silver bullet. It won't fix all problems, and you definitely have to be worried about those oils like I was talking about. So it's definitely part of the process. It's not a standalone thing. Like, for example, when you're done your acid wash, it's not enough to just rinse it down. That concrete is still extremely acidic, both on the surface and inside. So you should, again, anytime you do an acid wash, rinse down, neutralize the discharge. But now we need to neutralize this concrete, and we're using TSP again. Make another one of these TSP washes, 2 cups to 5 gallons of water, and use that to wash and rinse down the area that we've just acid washed. That will help to neutralize that concrete so that we don't cause any additional problems by having a very adverse pH level over a long period of time, or supposing you're cleaning this concrete to paint it or treat it or do a future layer. If you have extremely acidic concrete and you try to patch that or overlay or paint it, you could have a problem for sure. Almost guaranteed you're going to have a problem because the pH is too adverse. So neutralizing after an acid wash, very important. So there are more ways to clean concrete stains. I mean, for example, you can use vitamin C to try to remove iron stains. If you have iron and rusting, you can take some vitamin C tablets, crush them up in a nylon and kind of dampen them a bit and sit them right on top of that stain, and you can pull them out of there. But the thing with concrete is all this stuff that we're doing, it might even work, but also we're introducing new stains. Like if you spot clean one spot and you're successful at removing the stain, well, also now that one area doesn't look like the rest of it because the rest of it's old and that one area is new. And that's just kind of the nature of how concrete and staining works. If you're going to do something, kind of plan to do the whole area so at least you can keep it looking uniform one way or another. And that will go a long way towards kind of keeping it looking good, as opposed to when you get into this patchwork, I mean, that'll look pretty bad. Use TSP, use acid washing. In extreme cases of breaking down oils, you can also look at a process where you use something like Varsol, and you would apply that to your concrete, let it absorb in. It will be eating all the oils that are inside of the concrete in the same way that TSP does, but perhaps more aggressively so because of its chemical nature. Now with that Varsol soaked into the concrete, what do? You have to put sawdust or kitty litter or something like that and just leave it on there so that it can soak up all of that Varsol. The Varsol breaks down the oils, and then the kitty litter absorbs all of that Varsol that's got the oil in it, that it's emulsified. So that's the idea there. Varsol's not my go-to. It's kind of like only for an extreme situation. You bought a house, the guy who used to own the garage was a mechanic, and there's 100 years worth of oil slicks on the floor. I mean, you're going to have an awfully hard time using just TSP to clean that, so you might have to look towards something more aggressive. But for most applications of cleaning concrete stains, you're going to be looking at acid washing or TSP, or both acid washing and TSP. I hope you found this information helpful.